I'm going to teach you one of the easiest, fastest ways to level a Druid in Diablo 4, which launches tomorrow. Here's the thing with the Druid. It is by far the slowest class to level early on. It is also the weakest class due to its lack of self-sustain and defensives that are any good. It also kind of lacks area of effect damage and just high damage starting abilities. So it is the hardest class of all to level. I recommend leveling a Druid later on once you've accumulated more of the zone's bonus stat points and stuff so that your character will be a little bit stronger. But regardless, this guide will also not rely on codexes, so don't worry anything about that. A lot of guides out there are telling you to get these rare codex drops that you can grind obols for 12 hours and then buy gloves and then break them down, and it takes forever to get. This just lets you level straight from the get-go. For people short on time, I'm going to just display it in text form real quick for you and then scroll it through. Here you go. Feel free to pause the video or slow it down. That way you know exactly what you need. Now, the rest of the video will be me explaining why I made these choices here. And I'm just going to move it right back up. So there you go. That's for people short on time. So let's explain ourselves, and then I'm going to show off the build in the dungeon. Alright, so to start off, you are going to pick Wind Shear. The reason you're picking Wind Shear, this generates way more spirit than anything else, and you're going to be spamming spirit for your abilities to clear mobs. Now, also, Wind Shear is a ranged attack, so it's very useful to fight bosses because your wolves will be tanking later on when you get to the harder bosses in the game. But also, Wind Shear gives vulnerability, which means 20% more damage enemies will take, and it synergizes later on. Also, additional more spirit for each enemy you hit beyond the first one. So this attack will hit everything in a line, so it's pretty nice to hit multiple targets. Your spirit is going to regenerate very quickly with this skill. So first 3 points right into there. Next up, then you're going to go to Lightning Storm and learn that, along with Enhanced Lightning Storm, which is absolutely mandatory. And I'll explain why later how this build works. It's kind of like a stutter step build of sorts. And then you also want Raging Lightning Storm just for more damage. From there, also, you're going to eventually go down here and get Blood Howl. And the reason we take Blood Howl right now is it's going to give us 20 spirit with innate Blood Howl. It also reduces the cooldown when you kill a lot of things, which means you can cast it fairly often. Early on, this is just mainly used as a self-heal, so you don't end up running out of potions, which you will as a Druid early on. It sucks being a Druid. But the spirit regeneration also helps you spam your spells, and it's just really, really nice to have. Also, at some point, you're going to grab Heart of the Wild because you need abundance for more spirit generation. But for now, you're going to go down here and you're going to learn Wolves, but nothing else beyond that, just basic Wolves. These are your tanks. This allows you to cast almost off-screen on bosses, while the Wolves just permanently tank whatever it is you're fighting. The Wolves will hold aggro just fine for the most part, otherwise you have to continuously retreat against normal and elite enemies. But bosses will aggro the Wolves, so it's very nice to have. Next up is Vine Creeper. This is mainly for the Vine Creeper's ability, which immobilizes everything in a circle around you. It's not where you cast it, it's around you. So it looks like this, and it just it'll just root and poison everything around you. It's a very strong area of effect. These summons aren't so much like Diablo 2 in the sense that they're more like active spells that also kind of passively do stuff. The Wolves active is not that useful. It's not even worth casting, but the problem is if you don't have it on your hotbar, the Wolves will de-summon. So, for example, the Wolves just die if they're not on your bar, so you have to put them on a bar slot, unfortunately. But Vine Creepers are very, very useful because they not only do they immobilize, but they increase everything that's immobilized in the big circle by 20%, and this is where we spam our spells for more damage. And then also you have Ravens, and the thing about Ravens is it's just think of this as an area of effect spell. You can target this anywhere, you just cast it, it's a big circle. It's quite a lot of damage early on. It's way more damage, honestly, than Hurricane later, and on a shorter cooldown. So that's why we're not getting Hurricane later, okay? And then moving downwards now, we're going to be speccing into passives. So you want Elemental Exposure, and you want Charged Atmosphere. This is basically like having Thunderstorm on a Druid. It's really nice. But mainly for Bad Omen, this is going to give you more lightning bolts whenever you cast, okay? And then from there, beyond level 25, I'll show you once again, this is what it looks like. You just go back, you get Abundance, you get Bad Omen, you max that out, Charged Atmosphere. You can also get Wild Impulses, Lightning Storm, Predatory Instinct, and so on and so forth. For Spirit Boons, this is your class quest at 15. You're going to go Wolf and then Pack Leader and Energize for the most part. You can play around with them, though. You don't have to use those. But other than that, I'm not going to give you Codex recommendations because as a new player that's just leveling through the story, you're not going to have Codexes. If you stop and farm Codexes, that can take you 12 hours. Finally, for weapon recommendations, I do recommend the one-handed axe or mace because it has a faster attack speed, and the faster you attack, the more spirit you can build up faster. These slow weapons, you can't cast this nearly as fast, which means you get less spirit. And then, of course, just any offhand works. It doesn't really matter. I'm using a totem for more damage. So here's how the build works. You're going to run towards the enemy, and if you have max spirit, let me just show you, okay? So whenever you cast Lightning Storm, there will be a little bar above the skill. See this little bar that is like slowly going down? Well, the more you cast this, the more lightning bolts hit. So this is what it looks like. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. And the more lightning bolts that spawn, the more spirit it does cost. But the way you generally play this is you're building spirit, you're casting it, and you're never letting that bar go down. So you're always casting maximum lightning bolts per cast, if that makes sense. So here's how it basically plays out, is you build some spirit, and if it's a boss monster, you entangle them, and then you just lightning bolt them all down. You can hold it until your max, like charges. So every time we cast lightning bolt now, we're going to be at 6 charges, and this just clears things so fast. Even single targets, again, I'm not letting that bar unfill. So you have many spirit generators, you have your Q spell, and like I said on bosses, just dump a few of them, cast your entangling, that way you do more crit, and then run away, and you're basically just managing your spirit here. You really want to like max out your spirit before you cast entangling roots. That way you can get the most damage. Also, your ravens are an AoE spell as well, don't forget that. And then just occasionally push your Q spell, that way you get more HP back. And I am very low on health, getting beat up pretty hard here. This is kind of a harder dungeon. If you are knocked down, you will lose your charges, but that's okay, because you can build them back up. It's not a big deal, and I didn't mean to cast my vines there. But even against heavy or hard enemy elites, this still does tons of damage. And like I said, this is as good as it's going to get. Any other spell combination early on for druids is just, it's not fun. They're not nearly as powerful. They don't have as good area of effect. You can go ahead and try them all, but essentially everything else sucks compared to this. I know what you're seeing is not nearly as impressive as other classes' clear speed or sustainability, but that's just how it is. Like okay, so Landslide, you can hit a few targets with it and you can crit with it, but not nearly as much or as often as Lightning Storm, and it doesn't synergize that early either. Tornado is slow. Even with the Codex that homes in on enemies, it's slow. It deals less damage than Lightning Storm, and it costs more spirit, so you're just losing all around. Pulverize, like I've tried a bear build early on, it doesn't work. You just get smacked around, frozen, knocked down, and you're dead. Shred is okay for mobility. Its damage is a little bit less, but it's too spirit hungry. It is very hard to maintain spirit in wolf form. Otherwise, this would be like the second best build. Now, as far as these other abilities, these defensives aren't nothing compared to the other classes' early game defensives. They won't keep you alive. They barely put up a little flimsy shield that'll be gone in 2 seconds from enemy auto attacks. They're just not worth taking. For the pets, even if you max out the pets, their damage still sucks. Like, you can put all your points into these early game along with Call of the Wild, and you're going to be clearing so incredibly slow compared to an AFK Necromancer. And then as far as like Hurricane and Boulder go, you're getting more damage from Bad Omen and spamming your Lightning Storm than you will with Hurricane, which has a higher cooldown. Hurricane, it has nice tooltip damage, but you have to get close, you're going to get beat up, it's just not fun. Rabies doesn't start scaling good until much later on. And your ultimates, well, these things honestly are not really worth taking due to their insanely high cooldowns for just regular day-to-day leveling. However, once you get this build up and rolling with, Perfect Storm and whatnot, Petrify becomes pretty damn good because it increases damage that you deal to bosses, your critical damage. So this build scales amazingly. Now, this is not an in-game build. This will get you to in-game. It's about as fast as possible compared to any other build that you can run in the early game without, you know, getting like super powerful weapons early on or anything. And it's mostly just a ranged kite build. You just stay at range, let your wolves tank, and you know, a lot of times you just entangle things if they get too close. You can DPS them down, push your Qs, get your resources back, and then just rinse and repeat. As long as you don't let your lightning bolts fall off like I did there. Again, making a video and doing this, it's a little bit more micro-intensive than other builds, that's for sure. But it does work, and it will get you through the early game as a druid, which a lot of druids struggle so hard. And this is the best that I could come up with. This is the best that I've searched out of doing numerous amounts of testing. This is by far the best and safest and most reliable way to kill bosses, to get through caves, to do dungeons, and so on, and complete your quests. Druid is just painfully under-tweaked right now. I don't know if they're going to do a day 1 patch tomorrow and fix this, but otherwise, this is how you level a Druid. Thank you for watching. I'm Swole Benji. I got a lot more Diablo 4 videos on my channel. Go ahead and check them out. All released today, a day before, which, for whatever reason, Blizzard's still using for the closed beta, they're still using the limited to level 25 patch. But that's just how it is. I'll see you guys tomorrow when the game launches. Click the video on the right side of your screen. It's a good one, and I will see you then. Check out some of my other videos, too, if you're curious and want to learn more.